Hey guys, another One Take review, and today I'm here to talk about the new Conway the Machine album, God Don't Make Mistakes. This is the latest album from the New Yorker rapper who arguably made his first big splash as a solo artist in 2020 with the album From King to God, and since then he's released a couple more albums. If you include collaboration albums, I believe that God Don't Make Mistakes is Conway's sixth record overall, and it's a good listen. First of all, though, I find Conway to be a very polarizing rapper, at least for me, because on one hand, besides ignoring the fact that he does sound like a lot of classic New York rappers and rap groups like members from Wu-Tang Clan or Organized Confusion, I just kind of feel like he really goes between very two different extremes. I mean, on one hand, there are times where Conway just sounds like one of the most natural, honest MCs in the game right now, which is saying something because there are a lot of really great rappers out there at the moment delivering some excellent storytelling. And then there's sometimes where he just doesn't really do anything that has any personality in it. He feels kind of stiff, maybe. Sometimes tracks like Lock Load are examples of that, which actually opens the album off to a pretty weak start overall, in my opinion, before things heavily pick up with the following track, Tear Gas. But yeah, I just feel like Conway just kind of goes between very good and very mediocre, and either which way he delivers a strong performance overall here, so I can't critique him too terribly much, and his overall skill does ensure that this is a well performed record, but I still do think that God Don't Make Mistakes does have a couple of weaker moments from Conway, but overall, it's a strong performance. God Don't Make Mistakes was also produced by none other than Conway, as well as his brother and fellow rapper Westside Gunn, and they do some great work here. There honestly isn't really much to say about it. While there definitely is a kind of odd variation between the slightly stripped down aspects of classic gangster rap and boom bap and a more of wall of sound kind of approach, you've got songs here like So Much More. They're just very satisfying as far as audio actually goes. They're just produced very well, and there's not really a way I can just describe it. It just kind of creates a very enveloping atmosphere that I do think makes for a very strong listen overall, and even in the album's weaker moments it just is still engaging, and that's largely due to the production. I think that Conway and Westside Gunn together really killed this album. Killed in a good way, of course, not in a Lil Wayne feature on Tear Gas killed kind of way. That's a bad kind of way. Like virtually every other hip hop album in existence since the say mid to late '80s, uh, God Don't Make Mistakes has a lot of features as well. I'm not a big fan of features. Will be glad to admit to that, but the features on here aren't too terrible in my opinion. Most of them are harmless, fairly forgettable. There's a couple of like underground rappers that I'm not familiar with, and their features are fine. They don't really make me want to, check their music out further or anything like that. So take that for what you will. It's really just depends on the person. But some of the features aren't, my favorite. There are a couple nice surprises here. Westside Gunn again shows up to perform, as well as Benny the Butcher on the song John Woo Flick, and they do some great work as always. Two very talented artists, of course. And surprisingly, on the track Tear Gas, even though I did just crack a joke a couple seconds ago about Lil Wayne being terrible on Tear Gas alongside Rick Ross, miraculously they don't ruin the song. It's impressive. I'm baffled for someone. I'm an individual who despises Lil Wayne, and I'm not a big fan of Rick Ross either. And you know what? They don't do terrible. They don't do good. They still sound bad, but they don't ruin the song, and it's still a great song. And Conway does a fantastic performance on it, and Tear Gas is a highlight of this album for me. So yeah, there are a couple of nice surprises here. They don't really elevate the album, but what's more important to me is that the features don't drag down the album overall, and well, they don't. The biggest flaw that I think God Don't Make Mistakes has is just the fact that it kind of treads waters that have already been just totally waded in too many times, in my opinion. And my, completely pointless analogies aside, my point is that uh, this album just kind of very much at times sounds like old school late 90s, maybe very, very early 2000s kind of gangster rap. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's some great music in that kind of era of the genre. But at the same time, here you've got songs like Piano Love that kind of just sound like something that everybody who is aware of hip hop has heard before hundreds, if not thousands, of times from other much more musically and commercially successful artists. It's just kind of something that's been kind of pounded into the brains of hip hop fans at this point, and it's not really something that's too terribly engaging from a conceptual aspect. It's performed well, thankfully. If it were performed mediocrely or even poorly, it would just be a terrible album. Everything is performed excellently here, so I can't really complain about that aspect of it, but at the same time, there are just a lot of the same lyricism and beats and themes that a lot of people have just heard way too many times already. And if you ask me, I'm kind of tired of hearing a couple songs just kind of repeated almost. It just feels like certain songs are repeated, even if they are different songs by totally different artists. There's only so much writing you can do about being a cool criminal and dealing drugs before it gets kind of old, even if it is the most personal thing that you can think of. I just feel like there's only so many times that can be done before it gets tired, no matter how many people have shared that experience. So yeah, I kind of feel like it does kind of get a little repetitive at times, but it's not too big of a criticism or anything. It's just something I wanted to point out. There are times here where the album gets like really brutally honest and kind of creative with it as well. With the song "Stressed," especially, that's my personal favorite song on the album, and I highly recommend listening to that. If even if you aren't interested in this album or Conway the Machine or anything like that, I do recommend "Stressed" heavily. It's a really fantastic song, and in those moments, the record kind of its own beast. It's just a really magnificent album, and then it kind of goes back to some of the basics, and it has a really great couple of tracks following that. Then it kind of goes back to the basics, another great track, a couple more basic songs. You get my point. It's just there's a little bit too much basic, everyday kind of hip hop here, mixed with some really great work. But again, like I said, it's all performed fantastically, so I can't really complain about it too much or anything. But it is just something I felt I needed to point out. So overall, God Don't Make Mistakes. It's a very good album with a couple of really amazing songs on it. Conceptually, it kind of falls flat at times. It kind of, like I said, just treads waters that have been tread 100 times before. But at the same time, Conway has some strong performances. The features aren't terrible, and the production from both Conway and West Side Gun is really fantastic. So with that being said, this is, in my opinion, a just highly recommendable album, and I'll give this 4 stars out of 5. It's solid four. It's the definition of a 4 stars out of 5 record. There are some things that could have been a lot better about this. Really, I mean, lyricism at times could have been really just up the notch, but at the same time, there's some really strong performances, and it's kind of a something very accessible, something very easily enjoyable. So yeah, for that, I'm gonna have to give it 4 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that is the end of this review, and I will see you guys in the next one.